What's the worst reaction to losing you ever saw? Part 2. A student wasn't elected homecoming queen. She went into a classroom and threw a temper tantrum, stomping feet, screaming, tears, hysteria, the works. The girl who was elected was her bestie. Until this, they even stopped sitting together in class. The girl who lost thought she should have been chosen because her sister had been queen, but forgot that her sister was genuinely nice to people and she wasn't. A tie. First was a kid who, after losing a video game, tried to break the TV twice. He threw his controller at the TV, and when that failed to break it, he ran up and tried to push it off the stand. Second was a guy who was tackled short of scoring in a game of flag football. He screamed and cussed that he was in. I had a perfect view of his tackle since I was on the goal line and could see that no, he wasn't even close to getting in the end zone. He proceeded to get to the point of threatening physical violence against me when I told him he was wrong and a sore loser, among many other things, lol. Last year my daughter's soccer team played a tournament in Sweden. In the first round of the playoffs, they played a team from Nice, France that hadn't lost a game in more than a year and hadn't been scored on in the first 5 games of the tournament. During the warm-ups, they yelled at our team and flipped us off. During the game, they fouled like crazy, and got away with it. One of our players was concussed after taking a ball to the head, and while she was on the ground, one of their players slapped her in the face and screamed at her to get up. Refs did nothing. On a breakaway, they yanked our player down by her ponytail. Refs did nothing except red card our assistant coach for complaining about it. On a basic foul, our player was given a red card, so they played the last 15 minutes one player down. We ended up winning 1-0. The other team's players threw themselves on the ground and pounded the dirt in a team-wide tantrum. One ran over to the ref and started screaming in his face. The French parents began yelling at our parents. One old lady kept yelling at us, "Enjoy your gift. Horrible parents. Horrible kids. As always, fuck the French." I'm guilty of this. I was 10 years old and my friends were playing soccer. One of my friends is good at the game and scored a couple of goals against me who was a defender. My little 10-year-old ego got so bruised that I attacked him by kicking the ball at his face, hard. He had a bloody nose and a swollen face and had to go to the clinic. His mom and my mom were fucking pissed at me. I wasn't allowed to play with my friends for almost a month. No sleepovers, playdates, online games, no interaction. This was in the summer as well, so that was especially brutal. I deserved all of it though. Between ages 9 to 11, I was a fucking asshole. I did patch up with my friend and we were college roommates for a year. I pre-gamed a night out with 151 rum and was out of my mind. Went to the bar and my brain told me the prettiest girl in the bar was looking my way. I made my way to her and made an advance. She rejected me hard, and I started yelling at her. The ID checker came over, "Is everything alright?" And I had already decided I didn't like his attitude when I had first walked in, so I yanked on his ponytail. The next thing I remember, I'm fighting off 2 bouncers trying to pin me down outside while a cop tries to get us to disperse, and my sister screams, "He's not usually like this." I got up and yelled at the cop his authority was sexy in an attempt to undermine him with homoeroticism, and now I don't drink. Never really trusted me since apparently that guy is inside of me somewhere. Sounds like you killed that guy before he killed you. Good thing. Thanks. It took many years to come to terms with it. I realized I didn't drink to socialize. I drank to feel drunk and then just let drunk me take over. I saw somebody break a controller after losing to a boss in Dark Souls 3 like 50 times. It's me. I am somebody. I have broken many over the years. Not in a long time though. Always makes me feel really stupid after the fact. It ain't that serious and it's just a game, haha. Didn't see it in person, but it's legendary and I've seen the video. The kid took a 2-on full count third strike to lose 1-0 in a Little League game. A woman comes howling and screaming out of the stand, swearing at the ump that he's blind. As a catcher, I'll tell you that I never saw an ump make a wrong called strike from one of my pitchers. She ran onto the field, and he turned around and started to walk away. She ran around in front of him and kicked him in the balls. I can tell you that even with a cup it still hurts. Then she punched him in the face. The problem was he still had his mask on. She reportedly demolished her hand. She was arrested and pled out to some misdemeanor but was banned from all of the youth sporting events for 5 years. To show how bad she was, it was the last game of the regular season and the only game they lost. The video is hilarious because when she breaks her hand, she starts swearing that he did that on purpose. I was at my ex's house. when we were together obviously, and he lost a game of COD. He started screaming slurs and he threw his headset on the ground and broke it. He later called me yelling at me for not stopping him. I love it when people can't regulate their own emotions and then place the blame on those around them. They're so pleasant to have in your life. My ex used to go into a fit of rage over every game, be it Clash Royale, Fortnite, COD. He would bash his forehead into the metal frame of the bed, bite his own arms to keep from screaming, and eventually scream until his nose would start gushing blood. 'Twas lovely. A fast-paced game of spoons ended with someone being stabbed with a fork, which is hysterically ironic. I see now that I've typed the words out. My partner's family is extremely competitive. I don't play games with them anymore. My cousin designed my other cousin's jaw when she lost in a card game we were playing. We were just kids and our grandma spanked all three of us even though I didn't do anything. Was hanging with a roommate, and the girl he just started seeing in my early 20s, and they whipped out the N64 and loaded up a fighting game. My roommate was playing it all seriously, pulling off all the moves and trying combos and all that while she was just button mashing and having fun. The thing is, she kept winning and was playfully taunting him about it. After a few rounds he stood up, threw the controller, and yelled, "If you aren't going to play seriously, I don't want to play with you." Then he stormed to the garage to smoke a cigarette. Me and the girl looked at each other sort of stunned while he stormed off, and when the garage door slammed, we burst into uncontrollable uproarious laughter. They dated for 2 drama-filled weeks after that and then stopped. Then she hit me up a while after and we saw each other for a while. When I had to play on the soccer team back in 1-7th grade, I did not want to but had no choice. I remember that some of the other kids took it really seriously. Some of them started to cry if we lost, or even if they did not score a goal during the game. But the absolutely worst reactions came from some of the parents. Some of the kids were yelled at after the game if they did not play well enough. In 6th grade, we had a very good coach. He did not care if we won or not. He just wanted us to have fun and put most of the focus on team spirit and cooperation. One day we somehow managed to win a match, and afterwards, he was so happy with us that he wanted to get all of the kids on the team ice cream and cola. Almost all of us shouted out in joy, except for one person. One of the dads who took the game way too seriously was not happy at all. He started angrily shouting at his son in plain view of everyone. He had planned that sometime in the future his son was going to be our country's answer to Diego Maradona, and his son's performance today was not to his liking. He had caused the other team to get a penalty kick, which was not really his fault at all. The other team lied to the referee about what happened, and that was inexcusable. He would not get any ice cream or cola. Instead, they would go straight home and discuss it at length. The next season the shouting dad somehow ended up becoming our new coach, and the morale in the team immediately plunged. At the start of the season, there were almost 20 kids on the team. At the end of it, only 6 or 7 wanted to continue. Once I woke up to being beat because my now ex lost at Fight Night on Xbox Live. Literally went crazy over losing a video game. Jesus. Are you okay? Getting there. Ty for asking. He did it live too, so everyone heard. And he lost every Xbox friend he had over it. They told the entire community he was a wife beater. I hear he still won't log in because of all the messages he is calling him out. In primary school, this kid was well known for being a sore loser, which forced my friends to let him win every game to avoid the usual tantrum that came afterward if he lost. Let's just call him C. C was normally picked on by the other kids for his attitudes and behaviors, being seen as weird. He'd chug at least 2 liters of water at lunch, which made him always need the toilet in class, meaning he was rarely in our afternoon lessons as he kept needing to go. I remember this one day when we were all playing tag at lunch, the whole entire year of school kids. C was running as were the other kids until the person came up behind him and tagged him. He kept running even when people told him that he was and that he needed to come try and tag us. He swore that the person didn't tag him and only brushed on his jumper. He continued running, and when person tagged him again very clearly in front of us all, he still kept running. We told him that it was his turn to be the tagger, and he still swears that he didn't get tagged. When we say that he needs to be or he's out of the game, C just flips. He runs at the former tagger full speed and tackles him to the ground, straddles him, and then immediately starts to repeatedly punch him in the face. Most kids got scared and ran to a teacher to tell them what was happening, as the kids' friends stayed behind and tried to rip C off of their friends. Long story short, C got all of his lunch times and break times taken away from him for 2 weeks, as the kid didn't gain very bad injuries, just a few bruises. Not exactly losing, but there was a video of a kid who tried to shove a remote up his butt after he found out his parents deleted his WoW account. I was playing with a guy and a woman. He lost to me and I teased him and he hurled abuse at me, telling me I wanted the woman to myself because we jokingly flirted with each other before. Never seen somebody show such pure hatred to me. He really liked her. My brother destroyed a $1,500 laptop, when such things existed, in an online poker game over a $100 bad beat. The early internet was wild. Punching a hole in the wall and putting another hole in the wall with their own head. I also heard a woman scream after he did that. I assume he head-butted himself into his sister's room. My ex and any video game he ever played. Pretty sure he traumatized my cat. Twist controllers into 2, put his fist through his desk, and my favorite, punch himself in the leg, while screaming the whole time of course. Wild. My wife is from Portugal. We were watching the World Cup together back in 2014 when Portugal was playing the USA. I'm not an avid soccer fan, but I typically cheer for the USA team during the World Cup. Near the end of the match, when the USA scored to make it 2-1, and looked all but over, I clapped. My wife got so furious and flipped over our coffee table in the living room. I'd never seen her act that way, so I was stunned. Portugal ended up tying the game shortly after, and probably saved what would have been a bad day in our house. I now keep my mouth shut when Portugal is playing.